says it is now live on YouTube.
Yeah, it does say it's live on YouTube.
Yes.
See, look at that. We love when it tells us that. That is fantastic. Well, that means we are live on YouTube right now. And hello, everybody, and welcome. I can tell that we are live now because the chat has started. So, hey, wow, look at this. Yes. Oh, they're all saying hello in the chat. This is wonderful.
Whoa.
Hi, guys. Welcome. Okay, this is great. That means we've officially begun. And you guys coming into the video right now, you can see that I am joined today by Don, Hahn, and Lori Korngiebel. Welcome. It is so great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is great. We have people in the chat that are already saying how much they loved Howard. So
Oh, that's very sweet.
this is great. My mom is watching. My mom and dad are watching this too.
Oh,
So.
how great. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Yes. Hello.
Mom and dad, we love it. You get a shout out from Don.
Yeah.
So I really, this is really special for me, and I think all of the cheesy poppers out there watching right now to have you two here today. And for those of you that don't know, Don and Lori, so Don wrote and directed Howard, Lori produced it. Howard is, of course, the new documentary on Disney Plus. It just came out on Disney Plus on Friday. And it's all about Howard Ashman. It is a beautiful, beautiful documentary. I just, I loved it so much. I cried. It was just beautiful. And I thank you for making it. Really, thank you for the work you did.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
So, you know, the two of you are very esteemed in the Disney community. You've worked on so many, I think, of a lot of our favorites. And, you know, Don, Lion King, I got the shirt on.
Oh man, Asante Sana for that. Thank you so much.
Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, you know, and you guys have also worked together on, what have you worked together on? Let's see.
Atlantis. There's my little thatch right behind me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
A little F2K, Fantasia 2000.
Fantasia 2000, yeah. Waking Sleeping Beauty.
Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion. Oh my God, I almost forgot about that.
Oceans.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, Chimpanzee, African Cats, all the Disney nature movies.
And you know, today's
I feel like I'm playing a game of like, what's your line, or what, you know, whose life is it?
Today's World Lion Day, which is super appropriate.
It's amazing.
Fantastic.
Because you
dressed appropriately.
Is that so? Did the two of you start working together on Disney Nature?
No, it was before that. It was it Fantasia, Lori?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fantasia 2000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you know, that's something that Roy Disney wanted to do, and we were lucky enough and pretty honored, I can say, to work with Roy Disney, who was a really 100%. Down-home guy. You know, he was not at all. You know, he was just like one of us, and yet he really wanted to do another Fantasia because his uncle really wanted Fantasia to be a continuing piece. And so Lori and I both worked on that. I directed some of the interstitial pieces, and Lori was the co-supervisor. And
very lucky, very, very lucky.
And so Fantasia 2000. So you've been working together since then.
A long time.
A long time. Yeah.
You know, we were before we went live, guys at home. I was just watching Lori and Don kind of. They were just talking like business for a little bit. I was like, well, I'm just gonna listen in on this.
We're very lonely, actually, and just happy to see other human beings.
True, it's true.
Isn't it nice? But like, how many of these Zooms have you done during all this?
We've done quite a few, but happily so. You know, it's you honestly don't get tired of it at all, because how often do you get to release a movie that does what the Howard documentary has done in just a few days? I mean, it's only was released on Friday, and it's really about Howard because it's a tribute to him, and we're lucky to be storytellers and filmmakers ourselves, and that's a craft that in small part we learned a bit of from Howard for sure. But what a great thing to be able to make a movie about him. Challenging at times, but even better and really humbling in a funny way to hear people's reaction to it. So we're really grateful for it.
Very.
You said something about how he taught you, and that was one of the things that struck me, because there's this scene where he's, they're talking about it's The Little Mermaid and Part of Your World, and how he had to convince them that this song needed to remain in the film. And he had to explain to Disney the concept of a want song. And it just was like, oh, wow, Howard like literally taught Disney. So like,
well, yeah, he grew up with Disney like we all did.
Yeah.
But the only difference is he was a student of musical theater. I mean, literally a student at Boston College, at Goddard, and got his graduate degree, his master's degree from Indiana University. So here's a guy who not only kind of was born to do musical theater, and you see that in the footage of him as a kid putting on shows, but then he goes and studies it. And so by the time he sat with us, he could tell us why Disney was Disney. And he could, there's even some interview bits, some of which aren't even in the movie, where he talks about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and talks about the Hi Ho song from Snow White is straight from American, like an operetta, like a Gilbert and Sullivan thing, like the beginning of Act 2, the curtain goes up and the dwarfs say Hi Ho, and so he got it. And we got it, but we were a lot of cartoon boys and girls from Los Angeles, and I think to have somebody that articulate was in the right place at the right time.
Sure. I mean, I'm a theater kid myself, so I did musical theater my whole life, and whenever you get to see, as someone that is a creator, when you get to see that kind of creator, he's a master. I mean, he's so exceptional. There's just. It's just so inspiring. So like, I just thank you for making this film and showing us this. And I have to ask you, because I loved watching the sessions. Just watching him work is just phenomenal to see. What was it like being in the room with Howard? Well,
it's funny, we, on one hand, if people say, oh, it must have been such a golden age or renaissance, but I promise you don't walk around saying, oh, this is a fantastic golden age, isn't it, Lori? You're not, you're more likely just trying to work and get the movie done, and you have very limited time. And so that session, especially the one like with Jerry Orbach and Angela Lansbury, you're just trying to get the work done, and you have two actors who are professionals and amazing, and you're just trying to stay out of the way and trying to make sure that there's everything that these people need to get their work done, from a rudimentary level like transportation and food, to a comfort level, to a just having the right circumstances and vibe in the room. I mean, that scene with Jerry Orbach and Angela, where Howard's saying, we need to try this and this. I'm standing right there. There's a McDonald's bag, which is a good way to find me all the time, on the right side of the frame.
I noticed that McDonald's bag.
I keep telling like my wife and people, like, there, that guy with the beard, that's me. But no one believes me. But anyway, it's exciting. It's full of tension and stress because you're trying to get a lot of work done in a short time. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to those points where you're doing playback and people are listening and it's working, it's thrilling because you're, as a filmmaker, you're getting these huge gifts of creativity from these actors and these film writers. It's like these songwriters. And so basically Howard and Alan and Angela, and they're just going, here, we made this beautiful song for you, take it. That's indescribable. There's really no words for that.
Right. It's, and that's I just think it's so cool. You were in the room where it happened.
He was in the room where
I was. And that's why I wanted to make the movie, and why I wanted it to be more than just a puff piece about Howard. I wanted it to be instructive to people, to be able to see a lot of his process, to be able to see a lot of Howard working. Howard, sometimes it was tense, sometimes it was confrontational, but most of the time not. Most of the time he's incredibly serious about his work, incredibly funny. I mean, you could tell, somebody who writes, I use antlers in all of my decorating is, got a sense of humor. And I just, both of us wanted to put that on the screen and allow the audience just to be voyeuristic, be a fly on the wall, and enjoy that.
Yeah, you did, and we did. You did show some moments where he did have, that frustration and the true emotion, and so, and why did you include that as well?
Well, we would find things. Lori and I started out at the Library of Congress digging for things.
Oh,
and
that was another question I had. Yeah, that was my next.
Yeah, one of the things we found, for example, an audio tape of Marvin Hamlish rehearsing and trying out a song from Smile with Howard, and they get into kind of a heated conversation. And I think I always want to use things that show the whole person. It's one thing to say Howard was great, he was smart, he was a genius. Yeah, but also to say he was a human being, and he was vulnerable at times, and he was frightened at times, confrontational at times. And I think it paints a better picture of him. And I always like to make movies that are like a jury trial, where you present all the evidence to the audience in almost like a very journalistic way, and let the audience come to their own conclusions. And so that's why I include those things. You have to, I think, to let the audience see the person.
Yeah, that makes sense. And okay, so now that leads me to finding all of this footage. So you already said Library of Congress, because I was wondering if it was, if the Walt Disney Archives had this, so where did you find all of this? How'd that happen?
Lori, this is a Lori question for sure.
Yeah.
Don and I made a little journey to Washington, D.C., and we started at the Library of Congress, which, how cool is that? And had our own treasure hunt there. We spent 3 days kind of sitting side by side on separate tables, and each got boxes delivered to us just full of archival material from Howard's archives. And we were lucky enough that that's where they went. And, every so often one of us would be like, oh, we found something, and show the other and get very excited and scan it and take photos of it, or listen to audio tapes, like the audio tape you hear in the movie of Howard talking to Ron and John about the recording session with Angela that we found in the Library of Congress, that just happened to be, the old fashioned for kids that don't know, we used to have answering machines, and they used to be on tape, and then sometimes those tapes would just keep going. And that's what we were lucky enough to get, that Ron and John and Howard's talking. And then from there, Don and I took the train up to DC and met with Sarah, Howard's sister, and Bill and Kyle Rennick. And they sat and chatted with Don, and that was our recording sessions. So we recorded them not anymore in a very casual conversational style of just friends talking. Don being one of them who knew Howard. So that was great. And that helped us create the bed of like what information we get. And then they were all unbelievably generous with anything that they had, and from photographs to home movies to any audio they may have had. So anything that they could give us to help tell Howard's story, because obviously they loved and admired him too, and wanted his story to be told as well. And we were blessed that every step along the way, someone would kind of guide us to another person that may have something that would then lead to another place that we would have never thought of. So it was years of us just fumbling along, finding these little bits of treasure along the way.
That's amazing, because you could really see, and the heart of this movie, you could see it comes right from Howard and his family. And I thought, what was so effective too is when at the beginning, showing that little model that Howard made, I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it yet, guys at home, but that was really effective to me, and the tie-in at the end.
Well, we wanted to show this element of fantasy.
Yeah.
What movie did we talk about, Lori? There's a
Finding Neverland.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's these wonderful flights of imagination shown on the screen. And I was a little worried that we didn't want the movie to get too dark. It's about a joyful life that has a tragic ending, but we wanted to find that sense of imagination. And so we built a little test set with just some toys I had around the studio, as we all do, and shot something, and it seemed to feel really good. So Lori went on a scavenger hunt on eBay and found 1950s toys, cowboys, and we built a little tabletop set, and I glued on tissue paper and glitter. I went to the local Michael's hobby shop, and we just put this little set together.
You could have just seen the three of us doing it.
You guys did that. That's so cool.
Yeah, and we lit it with flashlights, so that it would feel like.
Oh.
Yeah, you put a pickle jar in front of a flashlight, which you can all try later on. It's fantastic, but it gives you a sense of what I think probably you did, and we all did when we were kids. You put on shows for your parents, and I wish we could cut to your parents right now. We could ask them some questions about this, but you do. I did. You did.
They know all too well about that. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So that's all. We just tried to show that part of all of our lives when we, were full of this kind of fantasy in our heads.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so effective. Guys at home that are watching, if you have a question for Don and Lori, you can type it in the chat. Just write question so I can see it, and we can maybe get to a couple of those. Just want to put that out there. My mom did comment here. She said it would take quite a while. Oh yeah, I put on a lot of shows. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, let's do another episode just about your shows. I would happily host that if you'd like.
There you go.
Yeah. It was, but you have to know that the reason I love Disney so much is because I was introduced to it at such a young age. My mom was watching the Mickey Mouse Club, the original Mickey Mouse Club, and she was a tiny little girl. So this was like, it's been in our blood, for so long. So
all of us.
Where did it start? Where did it start for you? Actually,
well, I was born in Chicago, but I pretty much grew up in Southern California. Mm-hmm. And so it started at Disneyland probably with me. I mean, I watched the Sunday night Walt Disney show with everybody else, The Wonderful World of Color, but I really remember the parks. And it was, I remember when my parents said we were going to the park, I used to pick out a special pair of underwear. And I just thought, you are going to be the luckiest underwear because you're going to get to go to Disneyland. and I would love that underwear for weeks to come. And as kind of sad a story that is, but it just shows it was so special that you really, you would pinch yourself.
Yeah.
Lori.
I grew up in Southern California, so Disneyland definitely for me. Sunday nights, Wonderful World of Disney. Disneyland, I did not have lucky underwear, but my mom wouldn't tell us because she knew that we'd never sleep if we knew we were going to Disneyland. So she would wake my brother and I up in the morning saying, wake up, we're going to Disneyland. And like Don just said, one of my very first memories ever as a human being was pinching myself in Disneyland because I couldn't believe I was actually in there. So that's, the love started early.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Where else does that happen? That doesn't happen like at Trader Joe's or something. It's a different thing,
I'm sure we all have pictures. I mean, one of my favorite pictures of me as a little girl, and maybe I was 2 or 3, is I'm sitting there holding hands with Tigger and have this look on my face of just pure joy and love. And,
so sweet.
We all have it. We all have that shared experience when it comes to Disney.
It's true. I mean, I think one of the first memories I have is a little kid, and I'm sitting on Main Street with my parents, and the Main Street Electrical Parade is about to go by, and I just I mean, that memory is so clear to me.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. I mean, maybe I had some Disney underwear on too. I don't know, but
I bet you did, but
I
once
probably
again,
did.
that's a different show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably did though.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that.
That's the Cheesy Pop early years show that Don will be
Yeah,
hosting later. Yes.
Yeah. Dig up, that's it. You dig up my old home movies of little Cheesy Pop in Disney World.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you grow up on the East Coast or West Coast or?
Yeah, I'm from New York, so we went to Disney World.
Cool.
Yeah, so we did that as a family. But then I moved to LA 14 years ago. So
Yeah,
one of the first things I did when I moved to LA was get a Disneyland pass. It was-
sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
so I did that literally in the first, couple months. I was like, what? I could get a SoCal pass? Okay. I got enough money for that.
Yeah, awesome.
100%. Yeah.
Just, yeah. We have questions. Do you have time for questions?
Absolutely. We're all yours.
Fine.
We've got a whole bunch of questions.
Do them all.
Thank you, Amanda, for organizing these questions for me, by the way. I really appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Amanda.
Okay. Wow, these are good questions. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go with okay, this one is from Michaela. Hey, Michaela. What was the most special thing you learned while making Howard?
Wow. Good question, Michaela. I think, well, one thing I knew, which was how learned he was in musical theater. I didn't really realize, though, how he had not a formula, but a pattern of adaptation, for lack of a better word. He would take he rarely, if ever, did original material. He would always adapt either from a fairy tale or a source material, but he would never do it directly. He would always combine two things that were incredibly different. So he would take like 50s girl group rock and roll, and let's put that with Roger Corman monster movie. And he would get Little Shop of Horrors, or he would say, let's do the revered Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, The Little Mermaid, and let's put that with reggae and calypso music. And so these disparate things for anybody else were a part of what made it so interesting. And he chose these pastiches of music because I love Danish music, but it probably doesn't have the rhythmic fun of a Caribbean piece of music. And the Caribbean's all about the ocean. And so it was a logical choice. It was a really logical choice, but it just was a brave choice also. So that's one of the things I just think is so central to understanding Howard.
Yeah. Here's another one. This is about Angela Lansbury here. Okay. This is from Haley. Haley wants to know, what was it like hearing Angela Lansbury sing Beauty and the Beast for the first time? And how did Howard react to hearing some of his great pieces being performed?
Wow. The first time I heard it was actually on a cassette tape. And once again, for you younger folks, that's a plastic rectangle that had audio tape inside that would record things. And it was a rehearsal tape. We sent a piano player up to her house and a pianist, and he sat down and recorded a rehearsal tape. And obviously it was fantastic. We tried a couple different keys. She was she made her career largely in movies, but a large part on stage. And so she was used to singing, and she has this wonderful character-driven way of approaching her singing. So Howard was always about getting actors who can sing. He didn't care as much about getting great singers who, they also could act over here. But no, it had to be great actors. And obviously she's a great actress. So that was what was great about it. The day we recorded that song, we flew her out that morning, and we booked her on a flight from Los Angeles, and there was like a bomb scare on her plane. It was MGM Grand Airlines back in the day. And so her plane had to land in Las Vegas. She had to change planes and wait for the new plane. And then she and her husband got on a new plane, flew all the way to New York, and I'm on the phone trying to figure out where they are. She calls up, tells me the story. I say, well, we can rebook this. We can rebook it for tomorrow, or we can hold on to the orchestra and try to do it later tonight. She said, no. You booked it for 3 o'clock. We're going to stick to that. So sure enough, she shows up with her husband after this impossibly long day.
Wow.
She says, hello, everybody. How are you? It's lovely to see you. She walks into the booth and sings it, and that's what's in the movie. That's what you call a professional.
That is amazing.
I'll say it was watching Angela Lansbury in the documentary. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
We worked with her in October. Lori and I did, and we did a Beauty and the Beast sing-along for Epcot Center. And kind of in that process, we thought, who can narrate this? Who can narrate this? And we drove ourselves crazy. And finally, I said, gosh, I wonder if Angela would do it. No, she wouldn't. And so, Lori, you could tell the story, but we booked a stage, and she said yes, and she came in that day, and wow.
Nailed it. We were sitting in the room, and all of a sudden, Mrs. Potts started talking out of the other room, and it literally transports you straight back to the 90s. She sounds exactly the same, and it was like touchdown moment, because you just couldn't believe you were hearing Mrs. Potts, how many years later, just doing exactly what she did.
She is timeless. She is timeless, because it would be inappropriate to mention her age, but she's in at a certain part of her career where she's been around for a while. And she's done with the session. I say, well, what are you going to do now? She said, well, I went shopping earlier, and I went and saw the Downton Abbey movie. It wasn't that good. But anyway, I'm going to get, and so she goes out and hops in her car and just heads off shopping. I just think, what? Like, what?
And she showed up alone, just did what she needed to do, and laughed, gave Dawn a big hug, like, they're old friends, like they are. And it was, there are certain days in your career where you're just, I'm going to remember this day. And that was definitely one of them.
She's a true living legend. I mean, that is,
Yeah.
That's what she is, really. Do you, Kat here wanted to know if you had a favorite song from the documentary. So I guess, any of those movies. Oof, that is tough.
Yeah, that's
this will sound silly, but one of the songs I put in that I love is called Cheese Nips. And it's from the Rosewater musical. And it's all about food. And the reason I put it in was I love the song, but it's also, Howard always wrote songs about food, whether it was Be Our Guest or Le Poisson from Little Mermaid. And he was just a foodie. And I'm a foodie, Lori's a foodie. And we just thought, you got to represent that somehow. And it's also something where his lyrics are just really clever, talking about this. It was a kind of a wealthy community woman who's hosting all these people over at her house, and they're just commoners, and she's just wondering, why do they always go for the cheese nips and the Velveeta and the Kraft sandwich spread and all that stuff. So it's an odd choice, but it's really one of my favorites.
I love that. That's great. And we got foodies here. See, this is even better.
I love you, foodies.
Anytime we talk about cheese, we're in.
I did a whole video last week where I was just, I did a whole cheese, I did a whole charcuterie plate video last Wednesday. That was,
you should have called.
I know, right? After crazy COVID is done, well, we'll have to go meet up in Disneyland and go eat.
Oh,
right?
Sign us up. We'll be there.
Okay, what is your
corn dog line?
Corn dog line. Okay, this is a good one, because I just did a video where I talked about my top 10 favorite Disneyland snacks that you can get at a cart. So nothing fancy. So just like classic old snacks. So my favorite classic Disneyland snack is the Disneyland popcorn. So that's my favorite. Do you have a fave?
Oh, corn dog, without question. Yeah.
Churro for me.
Churro. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I put churro number 2.
Oh, nice.
It's a strong choice.
Yeah.
And corn dog, where did I put corn dog, guys? Like, people at home probably know better, but I think I put it 6, 7. Where did I put it?
So that's good.
It was a whole big list. Yeah. But you have a lot of people that are big churro fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
And rightly so.
yeah. I love the have you had any of the specialty churros?
I haven't, although no, I have to honestly say I haven't. I just stick to the regular sugar and cinnamon ones.
Didn't they once do like a strawberry and sugar one?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I tried that, and I think that may have been a little too sweet for me.
Yeah, that was no good.
Oh, okay.
That was they went a little crazy.
Just
Like
say it out loud, yeah.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, they went a little like too far with some of them. They did have an amazing one. Yeah, they had this peanut butter chocolate one that was like,
Wow.
yeah, that was my favorite of the peanut butter chocolate and the Mexican hot chocolate one. That was wow.
See, that would be good.
Yeah, but the strawberry. And
Yeah, that brought me straight back to why mess with anything? Just go with the original, and you're
yeah.
Yeah, amen to that.
It's the truth. I mean, it really is. Dee Dee just mentioned the rose gold churro, right? You see, that's taking it too far.
Yeah. No, let's go there, because I think we're all thinking it. Yeah, it's gonna be dinner time, you know.
Do you have a couple more minutes? How are you guys doing?
Absolutely. No, we're all yours. No rush. We're doing an all-nighter. Just keep going.
All-nighter.
Yep.
I gotta go eat dinner too here, you know.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm gonna go get a churro somewhere after this.
I'll come over.
Yeah.
Did you know that you can get the Disneyland churro at Smart and Final?
Come on.
What? No.
No, you're making that up.
No.
Just why?
Don, we need to find out what time Smart and Final closes tonight.
I gotta go. What?
It's there. I did a video of this early on during quarantine where I ordered them, and it's the exact. I could send you the link after this to the video. It's Tio Pepe's churros. Is that the name of it, guys? Yeah.
Oh.
So they are the Disneyland churro. Like they are them.
That is great news.
So
we need to have another wrap party.
Yeah, they're just a little smaller. they're like half the size, but
okay.
Yeah. But they taste exactly the same because they are them.
I'm so happy.
But Disney doesn't want us to know that, so.
No. It's our little secret.
I heard nothing.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I had a question back to Howard. And this was about the choice you made to not do any on-camera interviews. So you just told the story through Howard and only, audio, voiceover. So What was the choice with that?
Well, a couple of things. One is when you're dealing with all this kind of archival footage, vintage footage from the 80s and 90s, it's a lot of it's on videotape, VHS videotape. A lot of it doesn't look that good. It's grainy, and the sound is grainy. So to cut from that to a high definition shot of, let's say, Dawn is alarming. Cutting to a shot of Dawn in any case is alarming, but doing that in the middle of a kind of archival film really pulls you out of the story. And so we didn't want to do the old guys reminiscing movie. I think that's another style of movie. I really wanted to be immersive and really transport you to those times. And to do that, we decided to stay in that time. So the audio, the interviews, and as much as we could was in that time. And then primarily, I wanted Howard to tell his own story. So as much as we could, we wanted the screen time devoted to Howard and his family and associates. And had we done on-camera interviews, we would have had to devote, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes of the movie of shots of, like this, like talking heads. Yeah. And in place of that, I just thought, let's keep that out of it and allow ourselves to have that 20 minutes for ephemera and photographs and clips and that kind of thing. So it's an unconventional choice, but I think it works well for this. Nobody needs to see some guy 30 years later talking about Howard. Much more interesting, I think, to take you there and see a young Alan Menken, talking about their work, and that's what got us excited.
Yeah, I mean, the story's told through Howard's eyes with this, right, Lori?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely. And then as people are talking about things, our job was to find those things and put it on the screen. So as Alan's talking about Howard walking in wearing a bomber jacket, we're combing through every photograph we have, and bing, 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 we find the photograph of Howard wearing the exact bomber jacket. So
Yeah.
therefore, you're literally there with Alan through the photographs, versus if we just had Alan talking about it. So, it was a fun treasure hunt along the way, but it helped us tell the story.
And speaking of Alan, he wrote the score for the documentary, right? So what was that like? How'd that conversation go?
It was odd because I sent him the movie as a courtesy, and I had all along the process, I would send small bits of it to Howard's sister or his partner Bill, and I sent the whole thing, like a very rough cut of it, to Alan, and on a Friday night, and he said, "Oh, thanks, this will be great. I'll watch it over the weekend." He calls back on Monday and says, "I have to score this movie." And I said, "Alan, this is a documentary. We have no money. We have like $10 to hire a person." I honestly had already talked to some people that I thought would be perfect to score the movie because they are done on a low budget. He said, "I don't care. It's not about the money." He saw it as his last chance to kind of collaborate with Howard, which was, I thought, really moving. And so how great a gift is that? And so we sent him the whole movie, and he went away, I think over the holidays that year, and wrote the whole score. And then we collaborated with an amazing composer named Chris Bacon. And Chris helped us kind of produce and arrange that score. So it was a gift, is all I can describe it as, is a real gift.
100%.
It's really incredible. That when you put it like that, his one final chance to work with him. I mean, that's, yeah.
Yeah, he felt that way, and I don't know, maybe we all felt that way. You can, Ken Burns, the documentarian, says he loves doing his films because he can bring people back to life. He can bring Abraham Lincoln back to life, or Teddy Roosevelt, and spend time with them. And that always moved me. And it's why I'm so into documentaries these days, because we could bring Howard, if we did it right, we could bring him back to life for 90 minutes and let you spend some time with him. And so as a filmmaker, that's, it's a task, but we tried to do that so you could see. And that's it's so gratifying now that people are seeing the movie, that they, are filling Lori and my inboxes with that kind of comment, which is, I feel like I know him now. And that's the highest compliment we could possibly have.
Yeah. I mean, and just what a man. I mean,
yeah, he's a cool guy.
What he did for the studio. I mean, what after his passing, I mean, you had to, it just must have been so devastating to the studio itself. Like, what was it like? I mean, you still had to finish Beauty and the Beast. And
yeah, he never saw the completed Beauty and the Beast, so we had that to finish, and Aladdin certainly had to be finished after that. Aladdin was Howard's last kind of Disney collaboration. So yeah, it was devastating. It's just working with anyone who goes through an illness or passes away is devastating. And then I think as the years have passed, we have felt that loss more and more. Now, there's been people who have filled his place on a certain level. People like Tim Rice stepped in right away and finished Aladdin. Alan is still at the top of his game, right? He's writing songs for Little Mermaid with Lin-Manuel Miranda, who at the age of 8 years old grew up watching Little Mermaid.
Right.
Like, talk about circle of life. It's crazy. So you have, I know. And once again, we go back to your shirt, which is how we. So that kind of sense of people filling in. Stephen Schwartz, who did Hunchback of Notre Dame, amazing guy. So there were always Elton John. Those people are also individual amazing talents. Howard was unique though, because I think he was a brilliant talent who was there at the beginning of the time when we needed a brilliant talent desperately. We were just a bunch of hungry young kids out of art school that wanted to do something interesting and wanted to show that we could make films like Walt Disney made. And whether we reach that level or not, that's another debate. But at least we were trying, and we knew what we knew. We had a brilliant artist, great directors like John Musker, Ron Clements, Kirk Wise, Gary Trousdale. And yet we didn't have all the pieces, and Howard filled a huge piece for us.
Right. Yeah. Someone asked actually here in the chat, you talked about Walt there. How does Walt Disney's passion for making the impossible possible influence your own work?
Well, making the impossible possible.
Right.
You know, the truth is you have no choice when you go into a movie.
Yeah.
Making a movie is impossible. Doing pretty much anything in life is impossible. Just logging onto this website was impossible, but I mean, it's difficult. But you take it on. You know, and Laura and I both grew up with Walt Disney, as we talked about before, but you just take it on because you have to.
And I think Walt said it, it's the passion of life.
Mm-hmm.
You have passion about anything that's going to drive you forward towards whatever it is you're passionate about. And all of a sudden, something that seemed impossible because you're so desperately passionate about it becomes possible.
And, you know, I always thought that impossible just keeps the amateurs out. You know, you just say, like, what do you want to do? Oh, that's impossible. And you just go, oh, well, you know, that's going to take out 90% of the audience because they think it's impossible.
All the lazy people.
It takes out all the amateurs.
It's true. I like that a lot, actually. It's really good. This is so much fun. I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but you know, are you working on anything next? What's going on? Disney Nature? Is that what's going on? Can you even say anything? Probably not.
Sorry, I froze for a moment. I'm not personally. I mean, I would love to do other stories. I love doing stories about artists and musicians, and so often their stories are untold. You know, we see great documentaries about Michael Jordan, which is, you know, people like that, which is absolutely appropriate. But there's Michael Jordans in the arts world too. And so to be able to say that and talk about people who are storytellers and people who are brilliant dancers and painters and things like that is exciting. Architects, that kind of thing.
Oh, we need more of that. Yeah.
But honestly, we're just reading right now and looking at other, doesn't even have to be Disney artists, but other stories. There's only one Howard, so it won't be exactly like that, but it's other stories that we can do in our strange, voyeuristic found objects kind of style.
Definitely. And planning vacations.
Yeah.
When
we can do that again, you know, that's, yeah.
I'm going to Spartan Final actually to buy those damn churros.
Yeah, you are.
Vacation we all need right now.
You know I am. I'll get some extra. I can get some for you if you like.
Oh, and by the way, like it's not just like 5 churros. It's like a big box. There's only one size that they sell. It's like a gigantic box. It was,
a little misty just thinking about it.
Got the vapors.
Oh. In my freezer, you know, this thing took up so much room in my freezer. Like,
James, try your Wiener Schnitzel, get a corn dog, swing by Smart and Final, get some churros, you call it a day.
I love America.
It's great. This was so much fun. Yeah, maybe we should do a food documentary.
Well, we had, in all seriousness, we have talked about doing a cheese movie.
We have.
And you know, we may have to call on you heavily. And I'm not joking. We love our cheese.
Sign me up.
Don't you think? I mean, what other food do you make out of basically spoiled food products and stuff, and you eat it and you're happy to have it?
You're super happy.
Cheese.
So happy.
Cheese is just magic. Give me cheese for dessert over anything, really, honestly, for me. Like I just
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
If they start serving that at Spartan Final, I'm out of here.
Oh man, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here and doing this. And thank you for Howard. Thank you for doing that, because I know it has meant a lot to a lot of people to be able to watch that. So and if you haven't seen it, guys, watch it on Disney Plus. It's really it's wonderful. Yeah.
It's really our pleasure. Thank you for having us on. Thanks to your listeners for good questions. Thanks for your mom and dad for putting up with you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll do it again some other time.
Hope so.
Thanks.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, Don and Lori. Thank you. Everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 for trivia.
Woohoo.
And maybe they'll show up. You know,
We will see you tomorrow
never
at 6 for trivia with Churro and Ann.
Platter of cheese. Yeah.
Thanks again. Really, thanks. Bye.